Welcome back to another edition of Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips. I'm Diana Harvey.
I'm Elizabeth Hull.
I'm Kim Hairstead.
I'm Cindy Walker.
And I'm Stacy Van Skank.
Before we get started, we want to remind you to be sure to like, subscribe, and share to our podcasts so you can see them regularly.
And remember to email us with any topics or questions at mortgagechicks@vandykemortgage.com.
Today we have a very special episode that was actually a request from you, one of our viewers. The episode they requested was more information about 1031 tax exchanges. What a great opportunity for me to bring in my friend Dave Foster to tell us about the 1031 exchange. But before you get started, let me share real quick that Dave has a special story he wants to share with you guys on how he got started with this, because it's very personal to him. So Dave, tell us what got you involved in the first place.
Oh goodness, I'm a water rat. Well, I've been doing this now, as you know, for over 20 years. And it all started back in Denver, Colorado. I think what you have to understand, the backstory is you got a Kansas farm boy who married a Minneapolis girl who went to Colorado and decided that we wanted to live on a sailboat. How does that work? I have no clue. We actually, like so many people today, wanted to find a way to get off the corporate train, to find ways to maximize time, spend time with family. What's the greatest answer today? Real estate investing.
Absolutely.
So we jumped in and did ready, fire, aim. We bought a duplex, we fixed it up, we sold it, and then I cried all the way away from my accountant's office at the end of the year because I realized I had a silent partner, and his name was Uncle Sam. And Uncle Sam was going to make more money than I did. So we decided, well, how can we find margin for a sailboat and time for family when we're giving all our profits in tax to the government? And it was right at that moment in time that the tax code changed, and all of a sudden there was this thing called the 1031 exchange, which is going to let us sell investment property and buy investment property and not have to pay the tax. Instead, we got to use the tax to buy real estate for our own purposes. And that's kind of the nutshell. Fast forward 10 years within a week of setting our goal, we cast off the dock lines and set sail on a 53-foot sailboat, which we raised our 4 boys on, without paying a penny in capital gains tax on real estate.
Awesome, awesome. So, by your story, you said you got to share this with the rest of the world, and well, America. And they need to know about 1031. So tell us, what is a 1031?
Well, yeah, because it's probably the most powerful wealth building tool that there is for the real estate investor. Because all you're doing is you're selling investment real estate and you're using the proceeds to buy more investment real estate. So if you're a real estate investor and you want to grow, why not use part of the tax dollars to be able to sell one property, but then use the tax dollars to go buy 2.
Oh,
Sell 2 and go buy 4. As long as you never sell the property, you'll never pay the tax.
okay. So how does that work? I'm a little confused.
Okay, so let's say that I bought a property for $100,000. And I'm not going to sell that property for $200,000. That's a $100,000 profit.
Great. Uncle Sam loves that.
Absolutely he does. So in most states, that would be a $20,000 or $30,000 tax. So instead, I take that $20,000. What's that represent, mortgage lady, as a down payment?
Ooh, depends on what you're buying, but a nice down payment.
So I could go buy another $100,000 property simply using the $20,000 in tax as a down payment. And then I use the rest of the profits to go buy other properties. So simply by not paying the tax, I was able to double my holdings.
So how does that work exactly? Let's use the example that you said. You bought a house for $100,000. You're going to sell it for $200,000. What actually transpires during that process?
Right, a whole lot of paperwork. It's of course, right?
Of course, of course.
So the process itself for the investor is absolutely no different. You use all of your regular professionals just like you normally would. You have a realtor, a lender, a title company, an inspector, whatever. But there's a third party called the qualified intermediary that has to be present. And we have to document the transaction. So we have documentation of the sale. The client cannot touch their money. The IRS doesn't want them to have it in between.
So you're kind of the holder.
So we hold the money in between, and then we do the same thing on their purchase. And at the end of that, they haven't done anything different, but the paperwork has saved them thousands of dollars.
So what are the guidelines, the rules, the restrictions that go along with that? Can they just do it forever? Do they get to go, okay, now when I find the next house, I'll do this? How's that work?
Well, the devil's in the details, right?
It
What is, and
is.
of course, in true IRS world, what is one page of a statute is 10,000 pages of case law. So yeah, there's a bunch of hoops you have to jump through. But here's the 10,000-foot view. It's called the 4Ds of 1031 investing. Are you ready?
I'm ready, the 4Ds.
So number one, the first D is defer.
Defer.
Because as long as you own a piece of property, you never have to pay tax. When you do the 1031 exchange, you can defer the tax indefinitely as long as you own it. So that $20,000 is yours to use. Second D, defer.
Defer, defer? Whoa, I can remember that.
Yeah, I know. Because anytime you sell the property, you can buy new real estate again using a 1031. So there are people that will do multiple 1031s over their lifetime. And the third D, defer.
Defer, defer, defer.
Are you caught up? We don't even have pens we need to
I
use
know,
today. It's awesome.
I can handle that.
So you can use the 1031 exchange to go into any type of investment real estate. So if you want to go from single family to vacation rentals to commercial, whatever your life cycle wants and whatever the market will allow, you can use the 1031 exchange to get there. And again, indefinitely defer paying the tax. So we did what, 3 Ds? What do you
We
think
did
the fourth D
3D.
is?
Gosh, could it possibly be defer?
Eh,
Oh no, I blew it.
But it's not as good as defer. It's
Oh.
die.
Oh. Okay.
And here's why.
That's really not as good as
I know
defer, but-
this is the last option, but it's a powerful one. When you die owning real estate, your heirs receive that at what is called a step up in basis, which means they inherit it as if they paid market value on the day you die, and the tax disappears. So that $20,000 20 years ago that I was able to put into real estate instead of paying tax, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. When I die, my children get it, and they don't have to pay the tax ever.
Whoa. So in this instance, dying's a good thing. Well, kinda.
For the kids, which is why you got to be careful. Don't tell them about it too
Oh,
early.
yeah. Yeah, you're right. Ooh, gosh, can't tell them too much. Okay, so what other restrictions might go along with this? Are there timelines that you have to follow? That's pretty typical.
Yeah, there's some pretty rigid stuff. You've only got a total of 180 days to complete it. So from sale to purchase, you only have 45 days to identify your potential replacements. So you really got to be on the ball and moving fast to try and get it done.
So 180 days from sale to purchase, and 45 days was,
From sale to identify your replacement. That's the one that's going to get you.
okay,
Because it's so hard in this market to find good properties you want
Yes.
without getting outbid for them.
yes. So people, it's a great option, but people really need to understand it and be prepared.
Preparation, like anything, is really the key. And I typically tell people it's an easy thing to think about. Simply take care of the hard job first. So if what you're trying to do is sell investment property and buy investment property, what's the hard job? To buy the new property. So get your ducks in a row and identify that even before your old one closes. Get your new one under contract and then sell your old property. The statutory order of the exchange only requires that you close your sale, before you close your purchase. So you can be into contract before you sell.
Okay.
So the timings are the real big ones. If you want to defer all your tax, you've got to purchase at least as much as you sell. And the title holder, the taxpayer, simply has to be the same going forward. But really the biggest key is that qualified intermediary. They have to be in place, and that's who's going to be your guide. That's the Gandalf that's going to take you through Mordor.
Okay, so going back over that again, they really need to be prepared to identify what they want to buy. Dealing with a great professional like yourself is that intermediary can help you get those timelines together. And then the other thing, of course, if you're doing financing, you definitely want to be pre-approved, preferably a to-be-determined pre-approval all the way through underwriting so that all of your ducks are lined up in a nice little row so that you can defer until you die.
Exactly.
Love it. That's awesome. Any other little tips we need to know about this, Dave?
Well, I mean, that's it. Again, the QI is really going to guide you through that. As a lender, you guys love them, I know, because when you source the down payment, it's sitting in their account with us.
Yeah, we know
and
exactly
not
where
going
it's
anywhere.
at.
Exactly.
That's
So
wonderful.
that's always a huge benefit to that. I would just leave you with, again, one more little thing to encourage people. It is such a powerful tool. We've done pro forma studies and spreadsheet extensions where we can show if the difference between two investors, where one defers and one doesn't, that's all they do, over 4 transactions, the difference is almost $8 million in what the 1031 investor is able to control, simply because they keep using the tax as down payments with you to go buy more real estate.
So again, covering that timeline again, once they sell, they have 45 days to identify and 180 days to close.
Right.
Okay. Well, Dave, I think you've given us an awesome overview of the 1031 exchange, but I bet these guys out there are going to have lots more questions.
Let's do round 2.
Okay. Well, if any questions, please, guys, reach out to Dave Foster, the 1031 Investors.
The1031investor.com.
The1031investor.com, and we'll have you back to answer their questions. Thanks so much, Dave.
If you like this episode, please share, like, and subscribe to our channel.
If you have a topic you would like for us to discuss, please send us an email or any questions. mortgagechicks@vandykemortgage.com.
We also have a Facebook page, Mortgage Chicks with Hot Tips. Follow us, like us, and we'll send you teasers, and we'll also send you full videos on that site.
You can also find us on Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.